we are here at the HSE wrestling room. We're going to look specifically at the ride out for the 149-pound quarterfinal match between Lovett from Nebraska and Wilson from NC State.
When you start really putting pressure on guys when you're on top, it makes it very difficult for even the best guys at any weight class to get out. So the first thing we're going to watch is how he reacts to Tariq Wilson's first move, right? It's not much of a first move. He looks like he's going towards a stand-up by getting into the pressure, and he brings his elbow in. So what Ridge Lovett does is he switches sides and throws his leg in, right? It's not a very common mat return. Personally, I enjoy using this mat return. I think it's super simple and effective. All he does is he keeps his wrist control, keeps fighting hands, and he throws a leg in and extends it behind the opposite leg. So because he's on the left side, he goes over to the left leg, in between and under the right, and all he's going to do is extend his leg, right? When he extends his leg, it forces so much pressure that Tariq Wilson has no other option than the fall. And now he gets into his ride, right? He throws the leg in again. It was just chilling. It never really came out. He goes over top of the head and around the leg, looking for a cradle, and actually locks it up. This is a super threatening position to be in for anyone, because some of the first things that little kids are taught is, what is a cradle? Because it's other than a half, it's one of the easiest ways for kids to turn people. And even at the highest level, it's still super effective, right? So after he gets his cradle locked up, takes his left leg, he gets it out of there, starts walking behind him, trying to eliminate his posts, right? Tariq Wilson's able to fight the cradle because he still has Ridge Lovett's on his back right side, and the other, if he was a table, the other three legs are up. He's posting both of his hands, his left leg's on the mat. It's still going to be really hard to finish here. So they start going towards the edge. Lovett tries to sag him down, and Tariq Wilson does a great job of circling out. But where he messes up is, if you watch closely, he has a foot in, and then as his foot goes out, his hand's going to come in. And all you need is one thing to be in bounds in college wrestling, right? This was a high school match. This gets called out of bounds right about here. But because his hand is still in, Ridge Lovett's able to work his head on top and keep circling in. Now, when he goes to run this cradle the first time, he flips his hips, he does everything right, gets a lot of torque, but Tariq Wilson's too strong, right? So what he does to counter that is, you'll see him, he goes and he throws his left leg in. Tariq Wilson doesn't help out by grabbing it, but he throws his left leg in and uses that instead to carry himself all the way over, right? So now when he goes to torque, he pulls Tariq Wilson's hips off the mat. And even if they don't flip, right, his hips are still parallel to the mat. All he did was pick them up off the mat, and that gives him enough space to do a roll-through cradle. From here, it's just, he has good positioning, he extends the legs, his head's in the temple, his bottom knee's in the hip, right? He's trying to finish this cradle really well. The ref won't give him the pin. Sometimes it just happens. He does a good job of staying calm, right? Fights his way out of the cradle. He stays calm, just builds back up. He elevates this leg. This is something that you don't see often. Most guys just want to dive back on top. But he doesn't. He elevates the leg, and that opens up the hips, right? If he really wants this cradle, or as Ridge Lovett is, he's a big legging guy. He's going to go try and get his riding time points. He needs to find a way to open up the hips. So instead of trying to reset and then reopen up the hips, he just opens up the hips off of the escape, right? So as soon as those hips come up, he steps across and throws that left leg in. Again, right? Now's when it starts to get draining for Tariq Wilson. He starts looking for that cradle again, just kind of keeping it around. He's not working actively for it. But he's working enough that the ref can't say he's not. Now he's trying to eliminate the legs on the table. If he wants to get to his cradle, he has to break the guy down first, right? Especially when you're wrestling someone as long as Tariq Wilson. So what he's going to do is he's going to punch at the arm. Instead of chopping it underneath him, he's going to try and extend it, and he's going to elevate that leg that he has figure four, right? By doing that, it puts a lot of pressure on the other two legs of the table and the one arm that's planted. This forces his head on the mat. And once his head goes on the mat, you just throw your other arm around the leg because it's literally right there, and you can lock your hands. And just like last time, he has that leg in, and he's going to go to roll. Same thing happens. Did the hips turn? No, but they're elevated, right? So he has enough torque now to where it doesn't matter how strong you are. He's going to be able to bring you over this time. And now the ref didn't give him the pin earlier. He calls a quicker pin. And Ridge Lovett gets an upset over someone who he probably shouldn't beat.